Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 5 of the worst invasive species from the US. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Species in the US that I guess have either been introduced from other countries accidentally, maybe they've managed to get on ships or something, or they were introduced intentionally by the US, I guess people in the US, whether it's the government or not, thinking they wouldn't cause problems and they ended up causing problems. Or people, because I know, for example, pythons, I think it's pythons, in like Florida and stuff, they've just taken over, and I guess that's came from people having them as pets and all that kind of stuff. But we're gonna see, I guess, yeah, these invasive species, and yeah, let's just check this out and see what things are on offer for this video. Some happy music for invasive species.
Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and of course Arnie does too. Now on this channel I've done plenty of videos on invasive species. Normally I focus on a certain location and go through different species that are invasive there. On multiple occasions I've focused on the US, as North America does have big problems with invasive species. But North America is also home to some invaders of its own. Plenty of common American animals make great invaders, and have successfully managed to take over many countries around the world. In this video I will be focusing on these species, as I'll be going through 5 of the worst American invaders. And we'll start off with one of the most notorious invasive species, the red-eared slider.
Wait, there's a turtle that's invasive. What, to other turtles? What's going on here?
Now one of the things that makes this turtle such a successful invader is the fact that it's just so popular. It is the most popular pet turtle in the US and is the most commonly traded turtle in the world. In the wild, this turtle is native to the southern US and also northern Mexico, but as it's such a successful invader, it can now be found in many parts of the US where it isn't native. This turtle got its name because of the red mark behind their eyes, but they are often confused with painted turtles. These two turtles look very similar to each other, but the painted turtles have a flatter carapace. These turtles show a preference for slow-moving water, such as sluggish rivers and lakes. In these areas they can often be seen in groups, and tend to bask with each other at the edge of rivers. One of the things that makes these turtles such great invaders is the fact that they have such a varied diet. They feast on a variety of vegetation, as well as aquatic invertebrates, fish, amphibians, and even in some rare instances, birds.
What?
This wide diet means
Birds? But they're so, well, I say they're so small, they're pretty small. Like a snapping turtle, I'd understand, but this turtle isn't massive. I mean, look at it like next to this fish. Jeez.
They can survive in many places that other turtles can't. But life for a young red-eared slider is by no means easy. Only around 1% of...
Yeah, it's this invasive species. I was trying to see if maybe I read it wrong. It was species that are in danger, but no.
Red-eared sliders reach sexual maturity, as the vast majority of them are picked off by predators. One of the things that made these turtles such popular pets was the fact that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were revealed to be red-eared sliders. This led to many kids wanting some red-eared sliders of their own, and this had major negative effects for non-native ecosystems. As these turtles can live up to 70 years, many people decide that they don't want their red-eared sliders anymore and release them into the wild.
God damn it, people, man. You just get an animal and you just decide you don't want it. I mean, look, 70 years is a long time to keep a pet, but you've made the purchase, you've bought it. Why are you gonna just release it? It's just very strange.
These released turtles soon create breeding populations and then become invasive. In Australia, breeding populations have been found in New South Wales and Queensland, and this is bad news for the native.
Wait, what the hell is this turtle? That is the maddest looking turtle I've ever seen.
Turtle species. The red-eared sliders mature more quickly, grow larger, and produce more offspring than the native turtles, and they are also known to bully the native species. As these turtles are also plant eaters, they can have negative impacts on the native aquatic species, and as they have such a wide diet, they are also known to feed on rare species of frogs. The Queensland government has invested close to $1 million Australian in attempts to eradicate these turtles. These turtles have also been linked to salmonella infections, which causes significant public health costs.
Jesus.
It's the same story in northeast India, as these invasive turtles are known to outcompete many vulnerable species of freshwater turtle. So far it's proven to be very hard to control these reptiles, and to this day they're one of the worst American invaders. But our next American invader is the American mink. The American mink is a semi-aquatic...
How can a mink be invasive? What sort of animals will it be? I guess it's just like animals in the water, aquatic animals, I assume. But I'm trying to sort of think of comparable animals, like otters, I guess.
species of mustelid native to North America, and like many other members of its family, it's known for being very feisty and can take on prey much larger than itself. These minks are found in most wetland habitats, from rivers and lakes to coasts and marshland. In these areas they are very efficient hunters and feed on pretty much anything they can get their paws on. Now in these videos it is never my intention to villainize certain species. In almost every case humans are behind the introduction of invasive species. It is never the animal's fault that they are introduced into ecosystems where they don't belong, and they are simply trying to survive. This is especially the case with the mink, as it has a very sad backstory. The mink was imported into many countries across Europe in the 1900s, and this was to supply the fur industry. These mink were put straight into fur farms, where they were treated very cruelly. Minks are the most common animal farmed for their fur, and on these farms the workers breed the minks, and then kill their offspring when they are around 6 months of age. It takes around 50 to 60 minks to make a single fur coat, and farmers tend to use the cheapest slaughter methods to kill as many animals as possible. In my opinion, it's crazy that this industry is still alive today, and people should be more aware of where they get their clothing from. Luckily for some of the minks, many of them managed to escape from these fur farms and managed to survive in the wild. They were established in many countries across Europe by the 1950s, and this had major negative impacts on the native species. In the UK, they fed on large amounts of water voles, which are now vulnerable in the UK. They are also known to compete with the native European otters, but in recent years the European otter numbers have started to increase. It is estimated that there are around 110,000 American minks in the UK, and this number could yet increase. In the rest of Europe they also cause problems by feeding on water birds, and also competing and preying on the European mink. I have personally seen a few of these guys in the wild, and even though it's not their fault, they are great American invaders. But our next species is the signal crayfish. Now this crayfish has to be one of the most infamous invasive species around the world, because of its ability to easily take over freshwater ecosystems. Now this crayfish is native to the slow-flowing freshwater environments west of the Rocky Mountains. In these areas they are unfussy omnivores, feeding on pretty much anything they can find. Young crayfish tend to feed on invertebrates, whereas the adults show a preference for plant matter. On this diet they can reach a maximum size of around 20 centimeters, which is a pretty impressive size for a freshwater crustacean. Now if you live in certain parts of Europe or Japan, you'll know just how much of a menace this crayfish can be. Here in the UK they have all but taken over the freshwater ecosystems and can be found in pretty much every river. In many parts of Europe the signal crayfish was imported from North America to supply crayfish farms. The crayfish plague had ravaged native crayfish populations and many farms were losing money. The signal crayfish was seen as an attractive commercial species and could be exported to the lucrative Scandinavian market. Unfortunately these signal crayfish were a carrier of the plague itself and passed it on to more of the native species. In the UK they have had a massive
so it's not like they're actually killing them, it's just they're giving them diseases and stuff.
Negative impact on the native white-clawed crayfish, and also have negative impacts on native fish and frogs. They not only feed on them directly, but also feed on their eggs.
Oh no, they do feed on them. I think I'm being stupid.
If this wasn't enough, they also have a significant
I'm being very stupid.
environmental impact, as they like to burrow deep into riverbanks, which weakens the bank's integrity and leads to soil erosion. It's thought that this species has caused millions of pounds of damages to this day, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere soon. But our next American invader is the raccoon. Now I have featured the raccoon many times on this channel before, mainly due down to the fact that they are such interesting creatures. They are far more intelligent than they may seem, and they have some pretty impressive tools. As I've been through many times before, raccoons have very special hands. These are ultra sensitive and help them find prey in aquatic environments and also break into people's homes. In fact, in many other languages they are named because of their hands, and their hands really do make them unique. Although the marks on their face make them look like thieves, these marks actually help them see clearly. The black fur works just like black stickers on athletes, as the dark colour absorbs incoming light, and this reduces glare that would otherwise bounce into their eyes. Now raccoons don't have the best reputation, mainly due down to the fact that they are so adaptable. They are one of the few species that thrive in urban areas and are very happy to go through people's garbage. This isn't just because they're lazy, but because they are very opportunistic feeders. They are thought to be as intelligent as some primate species, and this allows them to be so successful in urban environments. But today they don't just limit themselves to North America, as they can be found in parts of Europe and Japan. In Germany they are known as wash bears because of their habit of dousing food in water. 2 pet raccoons were released into the German countryside in 1934, and this was by a poultry farmer who wanted to enrich the fauna. Later on in 1945, 25 raccoons escaped from a fur farm, and these raccoons, along with other escapees, soon created a massive population. By 2012, it was estimated that Germany had more than 1 million raccoons, and today
Bloody
it's thought
hell.
that there are even more. In Japan, up to 1,500 raccoons were imported as pets each year after the success of the anime series Rascal the Raccoon. Many of these pets escaped
What?
or were
That's so mad how TV shows or films or whatever, like he said about Ninja Turtles before, genuinely relate to people then buying these animals, and then it leads to these long-lasting issues.
released and can now be found in 42 of the 47 prefectures. It's thought that these raccoons cause at least 30 million yen of agricultural damage on Hokkaido alone. As well as
Bloody hell.
agricultural damage, they also compete with native species, such as the raccoon dog. As they're so cunning and adaptable, it may be impossible to get rid of them, so to this day they are one of the most successful mammalian invaders. But our final species is the largemouth bass.
Oh,
Now this
look at the size of
predatory
that.
fish is one of the most iconic fish in the US, as it's loved by the majority of fishermen. These fish are skillful ambush predators and are known for being very aggressive
Ugly
and very
thing.
greedy. In their freshwater homes, they feed on many different freshwater species of fish and crustacean, but large specimens are also known to feed on water birds, mammals, and sometimes alligator hatchlings. On this diet, they can reach a
Bloody
maximum size of around 75 centimeters, which makes them the largest of the black basses. As this fish is so popular with anglers, many people in other countries want a piece of the market. This is the main reason behind them being imported into other countries, and this is especially the case in Japan. They were first imported by a Japanese businessman in 1925, as he thought it would kickstart a fishing craze. Instead, bass fishing did not really catch on, as Japan has a very different fishing culture, and because these bass are such efficient predators, they had massive negative impacts on the native fish species.
What a dumb thing to do. Why would you think that's a good idea? It's also interesting how this video isn't necessarily focused on species within the US. It's just US species that are causing havoc within the US in some cases, and then out of the US because people are stupid releasing them. But look at this thing, bro. It's so clapped.
But it's not just other fish that these bass can endanger, as in Guatemala, the largemouth bass has been blamed for the extinction of the Atitlan grebe.
Oh,
These birds
damn.
fed on the same prey as the largemouth bass, and when they were introduced into the same environment, they soon outcompeted these grebes. So although they are a very popular sport fish, they are one of the worst invasive fish in the world. But that's about it for this video. If
Damn, well there we go. Some of the most invasive species from the US. The bass thing is funny. Here in the northeast US, our largemouth bass population is being destroyed by Asian brown carp. The irony is palpable. That is pretty wild how it's like the roles are reversed. The irony of Rascal the Raccoon was that the show itself was about how trying to domesticate a raccoon was more trouble than it was worth, and how they should simply be left as wild animals. How have you ended up then buying them? Surely you followed the story of the film or the series or whatever. Funny how this made people want them as pets. Interesting idea for a video species that are actually locally. Okay, I can't read it now. I'm so tired. That are locally extinct in eastern US, but may be beneficial to be reintroduced. Is that even a thing? I guess it could be. Sliders are native where I live. And the amount of flattened baby turtles on the road. Oh my days. Is astounding sometimes, despite there only being a small drainage canal nearby. So there's just squashed turtles on the road. Yum yum. Isn't that what you want to see in your morning? Or your morning drive. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. Let me know your thoughts on this. This is a very interesting look into these species. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, and peace.